Good morning and welcome to today's live show. If you are coming to this and you are not watching us live right now, tune into the last 15 minutes where we do break down every stock that we do cover on this channel today. It's very important to show up this morning because we didn't get you those daily expected moves last night. So you got to show up today to get those daily expected moves. Make sure to come in and give the channel a like. If you notice that I am in a robe, it is because I am a new dad and I am running on probably 3 hours of sleep right now. So I got a big cup of coffee, but give a like for me this morning for showing up because just to give you guys some of that technical analysis for the SPY Qs, Apple, Tesla, Amazon, NVIDIA, AMD. We're going to bounce around between a lot of stocks today, but we see NVIDIA starting to head lower as the day begins. And as we do begin here, I'm just going to run through some of these. So we see the SPY heading to lower levels. You're going to see the daily range 517.99 to the upside. And then we do have 507.71 to the downside. Now we could come and fill this gap and keep turning around. We have to see if we create some kind of maybe double bottom down here with the divergence. But if this starts to get cut below, right, we don't create some kind of divergence down at this level, boom, we can take that low out. Guess what? You have a high, you have a lower high, you have a low, you then have a lower low. So then you would start that downward trend. Would be a very, very good sign. NVIDIA, we kind of watched it live. It was kind of lackluster, but maybe some buy the dippers come in today. So Q's very, very similar thing. We already started that series of lower highs, lower lows. But really, this is what I found. I really think that we're flagging. It kind of looks like Amazon at this point. So if we do need to dip down deeper to grab liquidity, look for that to turn back around or create some kind of divergence down here near that daily expected move. Right, so we have to pay attention to this. And if the Fed does say something about cutting rates tomorrow, maybe we actually see some kind of bounce going through at the end of the week. So we have to pay attention to that. People will see the rate cuts as a good sign at first, even if they give an estimated time when those rate cuts come out. Usually we will see that pump up. So maybe they'll say we're going to cut rates in June. What that would do for us is create some bullishness for the next few months. It might be a little wonky bullishness, but we could start to head higher over the next month or two. And then by June, we actually see that top out. So we could top out first and just start this negative trend though. So we really want to follow the price action here. Negative trend, very, very easy here. All we have to do, if this crosses over negative territory, good shot. We're going to test this low. So we just have to pay attention to if we hold up at higher levels. If this holds up at higher levels, we have that shot to turn this back around. If we get that divergence, we have that shot to turn back around. But if we start to cut below this on the MACD, then we have nothing really to go off of that says we're going higher. Apple, we can just notice it's actually seeing some buying up early on this morning. We talked about the rotation from Tesla into Apple, still holding true at this point. We can see it's a very slanted one, but it still looks kind of flaggy, even though this is pretty good selling. So if you want that to continue, we got that crossing on the MACD. We could come fill this gap maybe first. We're talking about a second push higher on Apple. So that'll be interesting if that comes to fruition. We just want to see if this can remain in positive territory here. Tesla, big move on Tesla right up into our weekly expected move. So it's a good time to join the Patreon. And lastly, oh yeah, the course, you guys got to join that course. It's going to be $100 for the rest of this month, and then it goes up to $200. You have less than 2 weeks to grab that. So snag that. But that weekly expected move coming in handy here, seeing it as a resistance. This is the trade I was in. I played that upside. I got out right around here. And then we see that come back down. So now we're seeing that weakness come in, but is that going to be consolidation head higher? Well, I can just watch this MACD, see if that curls back up into positive territory there. Amazon starting to drop below this low. Okay, so this is something that I wanted to talk about because we were looking for some kind of divergence down in this level. We could be seeing that at this moment. So that's something to really pay attention to. Amazon, you do have some room on that weekly expected move to head lower, guys. All right. Thank you for everyone coming in, smashing that like button. I'm just going to try to get through all the stocks real quick, and then we'll pull up the SPY and the keys for those daily ranges here in about 3 minutes. All right, NVIDIA here, we're seeing it drop down to lower levels, but this isn't dramatic. Kind of redrew this triangle. Now we do still have this triangle right in here. This is going to be a pretty good support right in this area. So we have to pay attention to if we start to break through this level here. If we start to break through this level here, it's starting to add up that we're creating some kind of, high, low. Maybe we actually have this as a high at this point, and this comes down, and we create another high here, then we get another low. So we could be seeing that series of lower highs, lower lows. I would really pay attention if this breaks. This isn't anything to really worry about just yet, like fully, because we're still above the 20. Once we start to lose the 20, we can get overly bearish, and you'll notice that when we're breaking through this triangle, most likely we're going to be starting to break that 20. So the 20-day moving average is going to be very important, but we did curl over on this MACD, not looking like a good sign as of right now. We have to see if this 30-minute, even though it's curling back down, can it still make a move higher? That's what I'll be paying attention to, seeing if those 2 hours can cross. AMD, same thing. What we're paying attention to here is some kind of divergence, some kind of double bottom, maybe something like this would be very, very good. But that would be for the momentum dying out. You still need that good news. So if we're going to, say we're creating high or lower high, lower high, lower high, lower lows, lower lows, lower lows, we could make another lower low. But will that get a rebound and curl over that 2 hour going into tomorrow? It's actually looking like that might happen. So you want to see if you can not create a divergence with this down here on the MACD. That's what I would say. If you don't create that divergence, good shot that we're going to head much lower. You're coming up into a point too where you'll get some buying, right? We can use this as support at this point. So even if we dip a little bit into it, we can use it as support. We got liquidity up in this area, so it makes sense. Look for some kind of divergence here. Meta looked like it wanted to go to the upside. I think this one even curled over on its 2 hour, right? It curled up on the 2 hour, not able to get into positive territory at this moment. So we got to see if this 30-minute rolls down. Does it create another higher low? That would be interesting, right? It would be interesting to do something like this early on in the morning for Meta. So really just see if this is curling down. Good shot that we are going to test this low and probably make a new one. So we don't necessarily want that to cross. We really want to see that buying back up probably early on in the morning here. But we'll see how this plays out over the first few hours of the day. Microsoft, another one, just starting to drop down, right? We could see a series of lower lows here. You see that cross on the MACD down here. Good shot that we're going to take this low out, head a little bit lower, back into this area we've been in for quite some time. So we were able to break outside of it. Now we're coming back in it. So we have to see if we can use it to head higher, or if we're going to slowly stair step our way down for Microsoft. Google here, just looking at this one. Came all the way up into this area. I'm going to guess that it is outside of its expected move up in this area. So I highly doubt this big of a move was expected from the market, but it could have been. So now we have to see, are we actually maybe using the weekly expected move here to head higher? Maybe we could find something there. Now that is, I don't have the weekly expected moves, unfortunately, but all we have to do is see this 30-minute curl down, curl back up in positive territory. Good shot. We're going to go higher. This is a very, very positive move. So how are you guys doing this morning? How did you guys feel about how NVIDIA is reacting this morning? And what do you think NVIDIA will do throughout the day? If you think NVIDIA is going to crash today, hit that like button. Let's see how many likes, because then we'll see, how bearish you really are. All right, let me talk to you guys for a little bit. Good morning, Amin. Good morning to Booster. Good morning, Dan. Do bears break the trend line decisively today? We'll find out. We'll find out if we can really start to break through some key levels. All those robots were a little scary. Bro made the Star Wars robot. Good morning, good morning. Did you already talk about what happened with NVIDIA sell-off after market last night? Salutations, Gabo. Matthew, really, I think it was just a little bit lackluster. I think a lot of people in the stock world were looking for a split. I genuinely think they were looking for a split. And I'm sorry I'm not dressed today. I'm running on 2 hours of sleep, and I had to take care of the girl the last 3 hours, 4 hours. So I've been up for about 4.5 hours now. Maybe 5, I don't even know at this point. So help me out, give me a like, because I'm still here today to give you guys to look at some charts with you guys. So really all we want to pay attention to is if we come and test this area again, right? If we test this area again, do buyers come back in for the SPY? Make sure to write down these levels here, 517.19. Or 517.99 to the upside, 507.71 to the downside. Pretty big range for the day. The Qs, very big range for the day, right? We can come all the way down into here, right? We could come all the way and break this before we see some kind of pop. So we could see lower prices here. Be very open to that. But you see the Qs here, 444.32 to the upside, 430.62 to the downside. So we do have some downward moves throughout the morning here. Let's look at NVIDIA. So you see NVIDIA down. I think, when since I was awake so early this morning, I might have watched NVIDIA for a little bit. It was all the way down towards like 856, 860, like right in this area. And I was like, damn, we opened there. You're cutting through some key levels here. So I don't think you want to take out this low. If you take out this low, you're looking like this could come down to here. Sure, we see one more little bounce and then we see that crash down. So it's going to be a crazy, crazy time, but you know that the 20-day moving average is below you. Okay, the 20-day moving average sitting as of right now, it's going to creep back up, but 835.99. Most likely it's going to be sitting somewhere right at 842.29. So even if we break this triangle, we could use the 20 to actually head higher, right? We could see this happen. But is that going to happen? We'll have to see. What does everyone else think is going to go on in the market today? Do we think NVIDIA is going to pull everything down? Good morning, Junior. Okay, and we do see the VIX. The VIX here about to curl over again on the 30-minute, about to make a negative trend. So we'll have to see if this bearish move is actually cut short. I did notice this morning that the 2-hour is starting to curl up in positive territory. So, but it is red as of now again. So it's really flipping back and forth. I don't think people know exactly what to do here. Now, I would say that on the daily, I wanted to show you guys this, the dollar, a huge breakout in the dollar here. We could see an ABC pattern. Okay, we could see this start to move pretty high up, go up towards my my expectation here, right? I expected this to come up to about 105, but you notice we'd be testing this high up here if this full move actually does play out. So this is the beginning. This is what you see when the tops are really forming. You're seeing the dollar breakout. You're seeing the VIX start to remain a little bit higher. You're seeing these yields, well, they're starting to fall back a little bit. So that'll be interesting to see how people will take this in, right? It'll be interesting to see how people are reacting to it. But as of right now, downside. Now, sometimes with the dollar, right? Sometimes with the dollar, we see this break out, right? We've been going up in the dollar for quite some time. What's the market been doing? It's been going up. So sometimes the dollar can go up and we can see the market go up as well. Now, 30-minute here, just wanted to point out on the dollar, not necessarily seeing the sell-off, but we could get some kind of retest today. So we do see some bullishness come in. We could get some kind of retest to then head higher here. That's something I'll pay attention to throughout the day. I'll keep clicking around, but for the most part, I just want to leave the SPY up for just a little bit this morning. Get you guys those daily expected moves. That is the red lines, okay? These red lines are all the options market expected for today, and it's pretty big, right? So we could see the swing up, and then you have that 68% chance to land in here. We could see this come up to this area, 68% chance to land in here. We could scoop out throughout the day and actually head higher and end the day up in this area. So a lot of options here. VIX is really just looking like right now it wants to curl back over into negative territory, but it is positive, right? This is a positive trend, but you didn't make that new high up here. So you have to say, okay, now this could actually flip over, do something like this, left head, right shoulder. We could actually see it head lower here, which will be very interesting because we're seeing much lower prices in NVIDIA. So I wonder what the max pain does look like for NVIDIA this morning. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure to like as you come in. Really appreciate you guys coming by. I'm doing this even though I'm not feeling the best. But I figured maybe hanging out with you guys, watching some stocks would make me. Look at NVIDIA. Let's see if anyone's got some crazy plays out there on NVIDIA. A lot of calls coming in for NVIDIA. We have a huge put wall over at 800. So if you're looking at NVIDIA for the end of the week, 800, huge put wall. The first put wall right at 885. Okay, so if we wanted to end there, that would make a lot of sense. If these bulls can push it back up, you'd probably want to get above 900 first. If you get above 900, you have a shot to go higher. But if we remain below 885, all these people start to go underwater, and it's a little bit tough. It's a little bit tough to hang on to those NVIDIA calls if this thing just keeps moving down, even if it goes towards 800. bottom side of the weekly expected move, you very well could head towards 800 today. We'll have to see if this bases out though. All right, so SPY 517.99. I'm going to keep saying it just because we didn't give it out last night. 517.99 to the upside, 507.71 to the downside. Qs 444.32 to the upside, and we have it way down here, 430.62 to the downside. So a big range today. You report the daily ranges in the Patreon. Not as of right now. That might be a good idea to start actually. It might be good to actually just like post those on Patreon. We are going to make it so on Patreon on Friday, you get all the daily expected moves for every stock that we cover. So every stock that we give you the weekly range for, we're going to give you the daily range on Fridays. So on here on YouTube, sure, you get the SPY and the Qs for free, and you can use those to formulate some good trades. But on Patreon, I'm going to start giving out the daily expected moves for every stock we cover on Fridays. Someone did a... Sorry if I sound drowsy or anything like that, but I'm here. Okay, so the SMCI, we can check on that one real quick as well. That thing really dropping off, so this thing really wanting to drop off. Coming into a point of liquidity, you can see some bounce here, right? This is an area where buyers did step in the last time to see this big push. So you have to see if that's going to go up. Now you have to look at a 2-hour though. You have to look at this 2-hour. This is going to be even deeper into negative. So if we do see some kind of bounce as this opens right now, we could see that start to break down. I actually think this might be a good level for SMCI to see some kind of bounce. Just 2 levels I'm paying attention to. The high up here and a point where that gap is. I think those would be very, very good levels for this to want to try to hold up. So let's go over to the QQQ. Actually, maybe we go to NVIDIA to start the day. Just go down to a 30-minute and just see what's going on with this. If you guys need those daily expected moves, just holler it out and we will come back over to that. Now you are taking out this low. You're kind of testing at this point. So this low right now, 862.12, 862.62. So you have made a new low here. Sorry, I just knocked the mic. I'm going to move SMCI up a little bit on this list here. Let's just put it right below Netflix for a moment. Not one that I really pay attention to. Sorry, I'm just clicking back so I can click into it. AMD, one that we want to pay attention to this morning, see if some kind of divergence is forming. I know 15-minute has possibly one that's really close here, but 30-minute looks pretty dang good. So this is what I'll be paying attention to a lot this morning. Checking over with the SPY, this SPY heading down to lower levels, those levels up here, 517.99, 507.71, and the QQQs as we load it up here, heading to lower levels, but not breaking this low. So once we break this low, you could say, hey, series of lower highs, lower lows, right? But I think we just want to see if this breaks. Really what you could see as of today, you could see some kind of big reaction down, some reaction up as tomorrow goes, and then see that roll back over, right? So we got to see, because if we wanted to, we could grab liquidity in here, right? We could do this, bounce up, use all of this as resistance to head lower. So we have to see what's going to happen. But I'm just paying attention to this 30 minutes, seeing if that thing can curl up, get back into positive territory. But it really looks negative at this point. AMD starting to build back up here. So now we have to see it gapped below a very important point. So that's something to note here, is that you've gapped below a very important resistance, right? Or support here. This support here, you're able to gap below it. Now we can use it as resistance to head even lower. So we have to see if this is going to create some kind of divergence. It has to do it very early on in the day. RIP to my NVIDIA call. Hey, that's okay. That's okay. You can look at NVIDIA over here and see it's not dropping down like a rock yet. So not the worst thing in the world for NVIDIA. I mean, down 1.39%. That's just a regular thing for NVIDIA at this point. You want to see if this can buy back up in. And I think you want to watch AMD. If it's able to fully take this level back, right, see this whole gap filled, sure, you could be getting a little cup here. Maybe you get the hand or a little cup and handle here. But as of this goes, if this fails to break down and we start to exceed this level here, you could start to create a series of that positivity. NVIDIA, you feel that 875 is a solid support. Well, I would say 875, yeah, I think these levels down in here are very important. So I would say this level right here would be where you want to get above 879.79, right? We gapped above it and we got these bars that couldn't break below it. You see that in this area, we broke below it for a moment. We bought back up. We kind of fight around this area right here. So this could be a pretty important level to watch, that 879 this morning. NVIDIA slowly climbing back up. Yes, we have to see if any news comes out today that kind of pushes the news we got last night into a positive light. And I didn't see a 1940 strike call yesterday on NVIDIA, but that's kind of crazy. So see AMD just remaining below this level at this point. Meta curling over at this point as well. So this is not good news for Meta. You can actually break down from this level. So if I was Meta, I really don't want to take out this low right here. Microsoft looking a little weak here. Could go make a new low on this one as well. Google not looking too bad, honestly. Netflix still kind of consolidating in this area. Like, this isn't crazy. This could be a fake out. We could go the other way in this triangle now, but really want to pay attention to a lot of things across the board this morning. The SMCI, it's coming up into my support level here, so I just have the top marked off and the gap. We already filled that gap. Let's see if we can turn this thing back around. Let's see if there's any kind of trade setup here. All right, so 15-minute curling over, coming out down into a level where we should see some support in this area. Okay, so if we actually can cross over, if not cross over, we do have that RSI divergence. So you can still see a bounce from here because if the momentum is able to shift back the other way for a moment, this is able to shift back this way for like an hour, kind of come up to this gap fill. We could actually see some positivity as this goes in positive territory. So it doesn't look good, though. I just want to be very clear about that. I mean, if you look at SMCI on the daily, that does not look good. It looks like it wants to go down to that 50. SPY on the daily, you haven't lost the 20 either. That's important. Look for that 5 to cross. The Q's about to cross on. That's why you really want this to buy back up today, right? The Q's crossing, possibly going to get a cross of the 5 across the 20. I just said cross like a million times, but you could see that 5 cross the 20 here. That would not be a good sign. It probably means we're at least going down to the bottom of the Bollinger here, so that would be the 50. Maybe we do see that reaction down and get that reaction up. That's why we want to pay attention to some kind of 30-minute divergence today. Because you have charts like the 2-hour that really are still at that center line. They look like they want to go positive again. I'm just going to say that. Like, they look, you want that dramatic selling to come in, like NVIDIA maybe. See how that's more pointing straight down. Like, this does not look good from the 2-hour perspective. It doesn't look like it wants to base out at all. But if you go look at the Qs, this doesn't look that bad. It looks like it's creating almost a small 2-hour divergence right now, giving you maybe some kind of double bottom to go up. So you have to be able to flip back and forth. SMCI is getting crushed right now. If it keeps losing that support level, then it's going to be very, very bad. So you don't really want to remain below this level too long. SPY just crossed, so we can't head down to this level. I'd pay attention to like 508.50. Treasuries, we could look at the 10-year, see what's going on with that. We're kind of just consolidating right at this area. So if you know this, a lot of the time, bond traders make a move, but a couple days before they start to move sideways until they actually get that news. So then they'll actually know whether this goes up or goes down. Something we could pay attention to, TLT, see if this wants to create some kind of divergence. As of right now, if this holds and turns around and gets into positive territory, well, this is actually a higher low. We could see a big reaction here. So the technicals are telling you there is a setup here for TLT to go higher, which means the Fed is going to say or do something that is going to cause these yields to come back down for a little bit. And it very well might be so. Like SMCI at the 50, it very well might be the case where we see this start to dip down. The thing that I'm a little bit like, we could still see an upward move is because we're not seeing that strong of a move in the VIX. I really would like this to be above the 200. And the 30-minute, you see this thing, right? If I spread out this MACD a little bit, you see this thing about to curl over into negative territory. So even though we're seeing some negativity this morning, if this is able to cross over, break through this low, we can head lower, come down to this level again, which can add some positivity into the overall market. But my goodness, let's watch the keys for a little bit. Once we get pretty close to those daily expected moves, that's why I kind of thought, hey, around this area, we have that potential to go to the top side of the weekly because we're getting up towards it, right? We're getting up towards that area. So you do gravitate to these levels a lot. Bad news comes out, it flips it the other way. Now we could gravitate towards this throughout the day, see if we can base out around that area. The good part is you guys are already thinking, right, we're trading like water. We know there's traps in this market. So if we get overly bearish down at this level and we see a divergence and that flips the other way, we actually could be seeing an upward move in the Q, see this broken and go higher. So we have to be, a little bit still trade like water out there. You haven't lost the 20-day moving average. This could still just be some kind of, pullback at this point. Now we do have these divergences that have been playing out. So, oh wait, I'm sorry. On the Qs, we did lose the 20. So we could head down towards the 50. That's where that positivity can come back in. It's the SPY that's still holding in between the 5 and the 20. Yeah, hopefully your guys' NVIDIA puts are looking pretty good right now. That's pretty good. But you do have the 20 right below you. So just, be a little patient with that. This one has the 50 right below it. So be patient with the AMDs as well. You are getting some possible trade setups. AMD could react into a point of liquidity and get some kind of huge bounce by the end of the week, maybe based on the news that we get tomorrow. Now, the only other thing I would say is this can escalate tomorrow too. So if we keep selling off and then tomorrow we get bad news, it can really start to escalate. Dragon, I kind of agree. I really think some kind of upward move is going to trap some people before, the actual bad news is taken as bad news. So if, let's say if the Fed comes out and says there is some kind of Fed rate cut, well, what if something breaks before they actually do the cutting? I think they're going to project a cut in the future. SPY is able to hold up pretty good, and that's why I'm like, the VIX is not telling you that this is extreme at this point. The VIX is not telling you that just yet. Right, the VIX. Now, if this curls up, we can see that positivity, but we've gotten rejected from this level a few times, so I'm really paying attention if we're able to break through. If we're able to break through, then you can get some kind of dead cat bounce retest here, and then see that go up. Is it time to cash out? Yeah, time to cash out your chips at the front counter, guys. The casino is closing. No, you gotta be, you still can play this, right? But we still want to be trading like what? We still have big news tomorrow. People will still be waiting for that news to fully sell everything, right? So I think what we might see is a test down here or a higher low in the SPY, because I really think the SPY is going to head up towards this 5,200 or 520 level. The Qs here, I just think this, because it's selling off pretty good, could have more potential to come to the downside here, come to the downward expected move, create some kind of divergence. With the Fed meeting, you think? We very well could. I mean, we very well could. And the thing is, we've talked about the rates before, how they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. But I really think at this point, they are the type of people who will keep their jobs and not do anything crazy. I really think that they will just say, no, we're going to cut rates, and then something is going to break, and then they're going to be forced to. That's when they're going to cut the rates, most likely June or something. That way they can say, oh, we were following the data, it looked really good, and then it didn't. Like that is something that can definitely happen. Coin was dropping off pretty good, and I know Bitcoin was dropping off. I was watching that. So something I was going to mention with Bitcoin was you can look at Bitcoin shorts. Those were skyrocketing yesterday. So as far as coin goes, like I said, with coin yesterday, if Bitcoin drops, coin's going to drop. Look at that. You can look at this curling over negative territory. Now you can see some kind of bounce from here, but you see the kind of head and shoulders that can form in this area. So you got left head, right shoulder. Now this didn't come down very much, so you could see some kind of divergence, get that retest, or see this flip back around. So really, if the 30-minute gives you a divergence, you see that cross, you just want to watch this 2-hour. You want to see if this 2-hour is able to curl back up in positive territory. It's starting to get towards that center line, right? A lot of these stocks are starting to get to the area where it's going to be some serious pain. But as of right now, you have a big event going on tomorrow that could just flip this thing over. Tesla had that little bit of a pullback, right? So it's pulling back right now. It's getting that sell signal, able to curl over on this 30-minute. Could mean some bad news for Tesla. Now, we did break out of this, I would say, wedging, right? I'd like it to be a little bit better. Have 3 points would be really nice, at least on this line here. But it has 2. Now, this still could retest and then go higher. So we want to see if it's like going to fill this gap or something today and then go higher. You're still in positive territory. If that rolls and goes negative, yeah, we can head lower. We can head to that 154.78. But if this just curls over for a brief moment, turns right back up, you could see more positivity come into the actual market. Maybe we go up towards that 180.92 level. Amazon actually going positive here. So this is what we were talking about with the Amazon trade, this possible divergence, this possible double bottom down here. And that's actually starting right now. So if we actually see this go positive, right, we want to wait till this one goes positive because it's kind of wonky down here, not a V shape, right? So we want to see that go into positive territory. Then we can start to say, hey, yeah, this is the low. This is a higher low. This is the high. We're going to go make a higher high, or we're going to test this one at the least. So Amazon, a very good one to pay attention to today. Ooh, NVIDIA coming all the way down to here right now. AMD a little bit lower. See what the VIX is doing with that. Not much going on with the VIX, though. The fear is not really there at this point. Thank you guys for showing up this morning. Really do appreciate it. I was like, man, if I get on and Richard isn't here spouting how the world could end if everyone switches to electric cars, I'm going to be upset. Hit the like, says Dave Fernando. What's up? One thing to note is the housing sector not necessarily seeing a ton of weakness here, but you can see this breakdown from this level. So very important to hold up here. Do we create that divergence like we're talking about, then go up? This can be something we can watch throughout the day. I know oil's going like nuts to the upside right now, so that's something to pay attention to. So let's see if the key is, this is where we're talking about a possible double bottom coming in. and then possibly going all the way down to this daily expected move and then seeing that reaction actually come up. So we could see something like that still take place, right? We could be getting a huge left shoulder. Maybe we get the head down in this area and then we scoop it up, right? We see a reaction up to this area, scoop down, collect some stuff in here and actually head higher. We'll have to see though. This is looking pretty bearish, right? These are negative trends. We don't want to play around with too much upside. Oh yeah, the dollar with the breakout. The dollar's breakout is insane. We just talked about that a little bit. The dollar's breakout is nuts, and sometimes the dollar breaks out before the actual market does crash, like before the top is in. But the dollar breaking out, this downward move as of right now is really starting to say, hey, this is a pretty solid top at this point. I'll be more willing to say like, hey, this is the top once like the SPY loses this daily 20. If the SPY loses this daily 20, I'll be more convinced. But you'll notice in this bullish run, what do we react off of every single time? Well, let's see. We react off first of all, we ride the 5-day, but 20, 20, 20, 20, 20, 20. So you really want to lose that, break down to lower levels, because if you lose this, you have the potential to do this, get some kind of bounce, and see that give you that head and shoulders on the way down. Potential here for it all to unravel. NVIDIA's killing you right now. Hey, you're okay. You're in an area where you kind of have to bounce from, but you're okay. We're here for it. Oh, he's waking up. So you don't necessarily have divergence on the RSI down here, but you would have it on the MACD if you turn around from this area. AMD for you. AMD a little bit more painful, huh? Just a little bit. I'm going to say hi to my girls real quick. They're awake, so I'll be right back. Give me like 2 minutes. I'm just going to leave it on NVIDIA for a quick second, but give me 2 minutes here. And we're back. What happened? What happened, guys? Dude, my hair's crazy today. I honestly thought they were going to bring up a stock split, and I think that's why we're not seeing the most positivity. I think a lot of the retail people just got stuck in their head like stock split, stock split, stock split. Now we have to see they didn't get the split. So is that going to be negative and just going to be like, oh, now I'm going to sell this thing off? Or are they going to start saying, you know, oh, we still want to push this thing to 1,000. It's still good news, blah, blah, blah. SMCI still dropping off here. This is really where I was paying attention to that 15 minutes. See if we create that divergence down here. So you really want to get that reaction like now on SMCI coming below that gap fill at this point. So that's where this line pretty much is. AMD, one that you want to keep your eye on, see if you see some kind of bounce in this area as we might create a 30-minute divergence. But if you're part of the Patreon, you know where the weekly expected move is. So you know that we can head just a little bit lower, I believe. Yeah, we can head a little bit lower here. So that's something to pay attention to throughout your day. Meta buying back up right here. Not a bad sign for Meta. AMD starting to buy back up as well. But the big dog, we gotta watch the big dog. Meme stock. Oh, God. I love that this like doesn't line up on the 30-minute. Did I move this? Oh, this was based on last night. That's right. So this line here, this triangle here, was based on last night. We took into account the extended hours, right? So this is created with the extended hours. So really, I might just erase this top. It's not really the best for this. I would maybe do something like this, right? But really, it's this range here you just broke to the downside. You want to see if the first reaction is the wrong one. See that buy back up, but SMCI, glad I wasn't in that one to any upside. My goodness. 3% down for Tesla at this point. So we have to see if this 30-minute can curl over, if it is going to remain positive, like curl over for a brief moment, or if this is going to crack down. Very well could. Apple seeing that positivity a little bit here. Could make another move higher. I would really look for, I think there might be like a 15-minute push here. See if some kind of divergence comes in. If that divergence comes in today, that could be a good sign. You guys know where that weekly expected move is because you're on the Patreon. Baby girl, we didn't get to go to grandma's yesterday, so baby girl's going to grandma's today. She was a little sensitive yesterday. But it's nice out today. Saying bye to the girls real quick. And we're back. I just have to put up the dog gate, or else they go bonkers throughout the day, and you guys don't want to hear that. And look, guys, I know I'm in a robe today, but your boy is a new dad, and he's running on 3 hours maybe of sleep, maybe. So I was like, it's either show up and put a robe on or don't show up at all. So hopefully you appreciate it. Smash that like button if you appreciate it, because it was a rough night. I have been up holding a baby since about, I want to say now it's been about 5.5 hours since I woke up. So not the best time. NVIDIA here still holding up, better sign. AMD most likely going to set up a lower high at this point. This is getting really deep into negative. You see this though, very cool when the negative trend starts because you can just boom, take a trade, make money, comes up in this area, curls over, make money maybe. I mean, if you just, this would be a 50-50 flip, but this trade right here is very simple. Very good. Negative territory. Very, very good. Little flag. Robe stocks. Yeah, I'm going to change my whole channel. It's going to be robe stocks. No, it's going to be stocks with Hugh Hefner. So is a rough night, but that's all right. That's all right. Oh God, you guys, she again, it happened where she just exploded. She just like, for some reason, whenever I deal with her, she just wants to poop her pants. Okay, 177. I was going to see if this will hold up at this level because that weekly expected move could come into play soon. So we want to pay attention at this point. You're approaching that weekly expected move. On Tuesday morning, okay, right? Wait, it's Tuesday, right? Yeah, it's Tuesday morning. Okay, so Tuesday morning, we can see this reaction here if we get towards that weekly expected move. What's up with the VIX? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Look at this. All the calls coming in. This is what I was saying. Even though this is a bearish move, we are seeing a surplus of calls out there in the market this morning, actually. I mean, well, you're seeing the VIX drop off. So the fear index is really curling over. And what this could do is start to curl this 2 hour down in negative territory. We actually could see a positive push going into the end of the day, going into tomorrow. So that's something to really pay attention to. We're starting to see things like the 10-year drop off a tiny, tiny bit. But the VIX not looking the best here. Looks like it wants to come down a little bit. Very, very interesting as we're seeing, AMD down 5.5%. We're seeing NVIDIA down 3%, SMCI down 12%. So very interesting market behavior at this point. One thing I did want to check on this morning, I know someone was bringing up IBM. Let's go look at IBM real quick. I wanted to see how it was reacting to this news because we saw that crossing of the MACD. All right, so we see this crossing down here. So what I want to see, 30-minute divergence here. Look at this. It could create some kind of 30-minute divergence as well. So there's just a lot of stuff that even though it's breaking down to lower levels, you still have the potential for the momentum to die out. Treat this as some kind of trap and then head higher, actually. So this could be some kind of trap to actually head higher at this point, which is very, very interesting because you're seeing a lot of stuff kind of creep towards the bottom side of some expected moves. I mean, the one I'm mainly saying is AMD, right? If AMD just goes a little bit lower, we can really see this thing start to head up. Yeah, dogs are all bouncing around back there. We'll have to see. This is what we've been kind of mentioning over here, just seeing some kind of divergence. This is where it would have to hold up on these next couple of bars. Could head lower, right? We gravitate towards those weekly expected moves. But if we see some kind of measured move for this, which you guys know, I don't really take profit or anything based on measured moves. But if we say break out around this area, we actually could see this go up towards like 220. So that would be very, very interesting, right? AMD crashes down to the bottom of the weekly and then heads towards the top side. So we definitely could see that happen. But we're just trading like water. So if the setup is there with the divergence and that confirms, we can take a play on it, see that reversal start to take place. But if it just keeps breaking down, well, then we can just trade it on the way down. We can look at our bigger time frames, maybe take longer out expirations and things like that. So there's opportunities out there this morning. I would say AMD, if this is able to turn around, we can see a strong move, but it could be catching a falling knife at this point. So I don't want to say like, oh, this is a great buy. I'm not even going to post this to Patreon at this point. They've already seen this idea on Patreon. So if it's going to make a move higher, that is going to be 100% up to you guys. You bought more AMD calls, Dawson. There you go. Okay, some people buying some calls there. Apple actually heading an upward move. Okay, so this is really what I was thinking for Apple, was some kind of 15-minute divergence up here going on into tomorrow, and then we see that kind of fade. But this is a strong move. We could see this keep going up because we're starting to see the daily start to cross over. We can see multiple days of positivity. As of right now, tested the 20, rejected. So you want to see this get above the 20, kind of hold there, and then start to head upward. Maybe we're just going to get some kind of retest over the next few days. Over the next couple weeks here, we could get some kind of retest. Maybe this wants to play out all the way until earnings, and then we see some bad stuff with earnings. Most likely a lot of these companies, especially Apple, right? We just got the China news and all that stuff. It's not going to be the best for Apple, most likely, for earnings. NVIDIA's fighting. The bulls are fighting for NVIDIA right now. Yeah, and oil's been going nuts, Mark. So they have to be worried about inflation coming back. And that's why I really think tomorrow we're going to get some kind of announcement in the projection. They're going to get some kind of like announcement of a Fed rate cut, maybe in a couple of months. And what that'll do is create some positivity maybe for the next few weeks. And then we'll top out and see us start to head down as maybe those banks start to fail before we even cut. So we'll have to see, but right now you can say, hey, the banks are under a ton of pressure at this point, right? So we saw bank failures, when we were down at these levels, we saw bank failures, right? We started to see bank failures when we were down in this area. Well, now we're coming back up. So we saw bank failures down in this area, right down in here. Okay, well, now it's up even higher as of right now, matching those highs. Yeah, Bitcoin's not looking pretty. That's actually what I was looking at this morning, because when the stock market isn't open, I like to watch Bitcoin if I'm awake. So I just had Bitcoin up while I was watching Baby Girl. Now, one thing about Bitcoin, I told you I like 4-hour divergences. We almost have one right now, but it's starting to break below it. So that's what I was going to watch today. You notice it's like almost flat, but it's a little lower. So this actually starting to not show any signs of reversing at this point, right? These here were great times to get in this trade, right? You see the divergence here, scale in. See the divergence again, scale in. Boom, 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 boom. We're all the way up here. This is when I would have gotten into the trade with my old Bitcoin strategies with the 4-hour. But sometimes I would look at this and be like, okay, Bitcoin looks like a good buy. Let me buy some Doge, buy that Doge. Boom, that thing skyrockets. You can just double your money really fast. Now, be very careful with that. You notice this thing sells off even harder. At the end of the day, Bitcoin most likely will be one of the last men standing. It'll kind of be like the dot-com bubble where everyone has a coin, and then at the end of the day, all that money then gets pushed into things like Bitcoin, maybe Ethereum, and things like that. So I do believe a lot of these shit coins are going to go away. I think they're going to be almost worthless. 4-hour little sell signal there. You can always find a sell signal on a certain, right, on whatever. If you want to find a sell signal with your indicators, you can find one. That's why I don't use them very often, but they do come in handy. Look at this sell signal, 953. Told you to sell at 900. Pretty cool. Any more pops in the VIX? VIX still breaking down to lower levels, cutting below this low at this point. You just want to see, is this going to base out at this point? That's it. But this might be enough to really start some VIX downward moves here. which could mean the SPY is popping. So let's go look at the SPY for a moment, see if this is able to catch a bid right here. Because right now you almost have island reversal, right? We gap up, then we gap right back down below the previous level. So we're gapping back down. This actually could be that island reversal to actually head the other way. So now we have to see, do we get an island? Do we get a gap and trap? And then we come and go the other way here. SPY, not a big move here. Use not even a double bottom. This actually is just a higher low. Now, one thing to pay attention to if you are looking at Bitcoin and stuff, I would add this to something you look at. Okay, so if you look here, this is Bitcoin shorts, and you'll see these really start to pop when Bitcoin starts to get volatile. Right, so we could look at September 2023. Okay, what was happening in September 2023? Usually it is not an indication. Some people use it as a contrarian, right? So, August, we saw that negativity come in. Then we see a lot of those Bitcoin shorts start to pop up in September, and boom, we see an upward move shortly after. Well, you're starting to see that right now, right? You're seeing the Bitcoin shorts start to pop up, and that could actually mean that this could go a lot higher. Don't think that Bitcoin can't go lower, right? Bitcoin can't come all the way down to, 56,000 or whatever. Before it actually wants to go higher. And it's funny that I remember that one person came into the channel yesterday and everyone's talking about how, NVIDIA, or he came in and said, NVIDIA can't go lower or something, or Bitcoin can't go lower. And I was like, if you're the type of person that says this can't go lower, you're going to be very surprised. You never want to say anything like that. You always want to be open to both directions. It'll make you a very, very better skilled trader. Right, because I can still trade this thing all the way down. Nothing goes down in one move, right? So you want to be able to switch back and forth every 2 weeks, like I do, or every month with my other trades. I really thought TLT would get some kind of breakdown a little bit further. I was looking at this morning. I was really just looking at it, seeing if there was some kind of divergence down here. One thing I did notice about the 10-year here, I think it was on the 1 hour, you see a bunch of divergences, so we could have seen that, but now you're just starting to flag. It looks like you want to break even higher. So I think the Fed will be forced tomorrow to do something, which is very interesting because they're very good at doing nothing. They're very good at doing nothing. We're going to wait for the data. We're going to wait for the data. How low can it go? Pay attention to the 50 for Bitcoin, guys. The 50 is where I'd really be paying attention to. I was looking for any kind of, 4-hour divergence is what I like. It's kind of violating that at this point, so this can really escalate. You do have some good liquidity up and down in this area here around 61,000. So 61,000, something to pay attention to. But note on the daily, you have that 50 that's a little bit lower. So you could like do something where you see this wick right here. Bitcoin likes to do that a lot too, where it'll like push all the way down and then wick back up to this level and get a closing bar like this, and then it starts to do that. So you just want to be a little bit able to flip here as well, because we could see one more push. Because think about it, everyone wants a rate cut. This is why we're high. Everyone thinks there's going to be a bunch of rate cut. Thinks that if the Fed just says we're going to give you a rate cut in a few months, honkiness, I think they are going to do something very bearish, very bad for the market, which is, I think this is going to tell them, hey, we have to do something. We have to at least announce some kind of cut. But this is just saying, if we cut right now, we have inflation that is still high. We can see that come back into the market. But if we leave this up like this, then the banks are in trouble. So what they're going to do is maybe announce a cut, and then we see this taper back down. And then around this area, we actually see like banks start to fail or something like that because this is so high. Or they have to flip the script and say, hey, yeah, we're going into recession. This is not going to be a soft landing, and boom. So you really just want to see if this is able to firmly break, I would say, on the weekly side. You're able to get a closing bar down here. But right now, if you just do this, you could trickle back up in April, get that Fed rate decision again, and then see that fall back down. So, still positive at this point. Okay, he would be. The thing is, you can't take raising rates off the table because, well, you could just leave higher for longer, but that's the problem too. Like, so higher for longer causes the most pain in the economy, as you guys probably notice. Actually, if you would have initially raised the rates dramatically, kind of just like Volckered it right away, you could actually take care of the inflation problem. We would go through some hard pain for like a year, 2 years, and then we could base out and be done. But when you stretch it out for this long and cause so much pain in the economy while the market goes higher, now you're saying, oh, well, the economy can start to get fixed, but the market now needs to price in, something bad. But in order for the economy to get fixed, you need recession. You need a deflationary event to get rid of inflation. So you're most likely going to go through some pain. And because we're sitting at higher levels in the market, I think that pain is going to last a decent amount of time. And stagflation is on the table. And like I said this, like a year ago to my, or a couple years ago when they started raising rates, I said this to my dad and stuff. I was just like, look, they're going to absolutely ruin the United States of America financially. They're going to ruin it. And he's like, how so? And I'm like, well, because they're just going to raise rates based on data. When the first piece of data told you, like, hey, we have 8%, 8.6% inflation or something like that. Or we started a little lower, but then it ticked up. Once it gets to 8%, you might want to raise those rates by just a little bit more. And I know it was fast. But if you really want to take care of the problem, then you stop the problem in its tracks. And that's the best way to face it. It's kind of like, I don't know, what do you want to compare it to? If I have like I don't know if that's the best analogy. I wanted to go with like a drug problem analogy, but I don't know if that's the best one to do. I'll try it, but if you have a drug problem, the best thing to do, the first thing to do is, like, most of the time they say, what do? You admit that you have a problem. Okay, once you admit that you have a problem, you can make a plan. Usually that plan is very dramatic. It's not wean you off for 3 years. It's like pull back a decent amount, deal with that, pull back a decent amount, deal with that. I've had a lot, not a lot, actually. I wanted to say a lot of friends with drug problems, but I've had some friends with drug problems and stuff like that. And yeah, they overall went more dramatic than I would say. I knew it wasn't the best analogy, guys. I just knew it wasn't. All right, dollar starting to wick out up here. So this is something interesting as well. If we can't close above that 200, you do have the potential for that retest, for that downward move first, and then you start to head up. We'll just pay attention to that throughout the day. God, that was a terrible analogy. I need to think of a better one. It's gonna bug me. Yeah, let's fix crack with meth. Yeah, not a good sign. It's kind of this. It's kind of, actually, maybe the better way to say it is like a gym thing. More pain, more gain. You have to go, if you go through more pain, you will make more progress. And I know it's like slowly over time is a good thing in some scenarios, but if you are extremely, it's like me where I'm at. I'm say 100 and right now I'm 160. Usually I'm 180. If I wanted to, become healthier, lose weight, do anything, well, I could do that 3 times a week. But if I'm 400 pounds, I probably need to be at least going for a walk for an hour every day. You can't insert one day off from something, you've got a problem. That's very, very true. And I have my vices too. But you have to be able to handle the problem. And I just don't think we handled this problem the best. I think we really baited people into thinking this is going. And the thing is, if they would have done everything they did, but not said soft landing, if they would have done everything they did, but told people the truth and said, hey, this has a high probability to cause recession. Okay, high probability to cause recession, instead of saying, soft landing, soft landing, soft landing. Well, if you weren't saying that, then you probably would not be at new all-time highs, right? So we probably wouldn't be at new all-time highs if they at least were honest about, like, hey, this has high potential to cause a recession. Because they don't want people to get scared about a recession, they don't say that. And that might even be political. That might be the political party that's in charge right now talking about those things. AMD heading down to lower levels. Might dabble with Nike earnings. Yeah. Look what Nike's doing before the earnings today. Let's see when that earnings comes out. Friday. Okay, so Friday. Ooh, after hours on Thursday. Okay, so after hours on Thursday, we could see something out of this. Really like to see where the daily's at usually when I'm looking at these types of things. Still below the 200, I'm assuming here. Yeah, still below the 200. Ooh, Nike, though, showing you a little bit of a divergence, but remember, be very careful around earnings. It doesn't necessarily matter what the overall technicals look like, right? We see momentum is dying here. That's all you should take from this divergence. Momentum is dying here. If I take a play, I can see a pop. But if this starts to go the other way, I can see a significant drop because it's just a 50-50 flip around that earning. So if you're going to take a play with Nike, I would highly suggest having a stop in place somewhere. Even if like it goes down like this and then comes back up and you're like, darn it, well, you can still get into that trade later. Or if that does it in the, say, post-market, pre-market, something like that, it stops you out. Well, you can get right back in the morning, see that cross go into positive territory. So just take your time with it. This is a very good one. Very good from the momentum side look there. I don't have the exact levels on AMD for you. If you want, you can go join over on the Patreon there. I would just tell you to pay attention to this wedging. Really pay attention to this wedging, okay? Because you're approaching the bottom side of that weekly expected move. We can see it head a little bit lower. Somewhere around this area is where I would expect some kind of reaction right down in here because we're coming up into this liquidity. And thank you for liking. I just see that heart going. See that heart going. Gonna take loss today. That's okay. We enjoy the good days and we learn from the bad days. Done for the day. Alan, what was your play? Good morning, good morning. This plane's going down. Yeah, so Nike, you probably could just swing trade that 2-hour on the way down. Oh yeah, let's see what this one's doing. Ooh, that's a drop. That is a drop. And see, you're losing the 20. About to cross on the MACD. This thing can get volatile to the downside. Yeah, MicroStrategy, it can really come down. It can start filling some of these gaps. It can start moving now. You're seeing that shift. We're about to go below 50 on the RSI. Even though this is just about to cross, you're getting that MACD to cross, not even cross before. We're about to go below 50 here, so you can really start to see some pain. Now, if you're still wanting to be bullish here, just see if that 50 is able to hold up. See if we hold above the 21st, but if we see that 50 hold up as some support, we can see this kind of just do this number. Maybe we make a lower high or something like that. I think I'm going to go long the VIX here. Let's take a look at the VIX. As of right now, curling down, crossing back to the downside on the daily there. Curling down on the 30-minute, which means we could negative territory could push this thing lower. So interesting to see that we have some stuff really starting to sell off. Some puts trickling into the market at this point. Wonder how people were positioned for today. For today, more towards the put side, so look for those put walls, 509 and 503. So 509 is right below us. Maybe the Qs would be better to look at as well. That's being a little bit more dramatic. Let's see if that held up at any kind of put wall or something like that. 433. Okay, so 433 was your put wall. And 433.50, 433.30 is where you touched as of right now. So we could see that head a little bit lower. AMD still paying attention if this divergence wants to prove itself, get back into positive territory here, but this is not looking good for AMD. It's lost the 20, it's heading into the 50, so this is where that support can come in, but not looking the best in the overall grand scheme of things. Alrighty. So going into the 30-minute here on AMD, we're just seeing that head to lower levels, right? We said we would gravitate towards the lower expected move. If you're part of Patreon, you know exactly where that is. If you're on here right now, we're approaching it. It's down in this area, okay? So this is where we have to say this is all the week priced in for AMD, even with this volatility, right? This is some volatility here. Even with that, we're approaching the bottom side of that weekly. This is where we get that 68% chance for some kind of bounce to remain in that zone. Meta still holding up where it needs to. Amazon's one I wanted to watch, right? Remember the 15-minute? We wanted to see if this divergence was proving. And right now you got that to cross. You just need positive territory. This is able to go positive here. We could see a good move out of Amazon. We could actually see this hourly curl back around. So hourly curl back around with that 15-minute divergence, able to curl back into positive territory. Some positivity could come from Amazon soon, which if you look at that across the market, it's like, why is Amazon going to see positivity? Well, are people pulling out of NVIDIA and AMDs and going into Apple's, Tesla's, Amazon's, things like that? That's where you really want to see if AMD is going to participate in this overall move. Hourly divergence there as well as of right now. My weekly's up real quick. People like the Google Apple partnership for some reason. It seems odd. It does seem a little bit wonky. Wouldn't it be way better news for Apple to like come out with their own thing that's like innovative? But we all know that Apple hasn't really been that innovative for years. I just switched to a Google phone and I'm like, holy shit, this is what I've been missing the whole time. AHRI, Ariana. And maybe it's named after a gaming character that I don't get to play that game anymore. Too weak that anything is better than nothing. And I think that's kind of the case. And that kind of makes, it kind of puts, I think it puts Apple in a bad light. I think it puts Apple in a dependent on Google bad light. But I will say this, there's things in the business world that you wouldn't expect to be very good news. Right, so if you take business school and you learn about a lot of businesses, you'll learn that many of the best partnerships are with people who seriously compete with each other. Okay, so like places that seriously compete with each other, if they can actually partner up, they would like rule the world. That's Google and Apple, right? If they would just partner up and make a joint phone or something like that, that would be insane. Like partially has Google stuff, partially has the other one. I think this may be a bear trap, to be honest with you. The Fed are not going to say anything we don't already know. They very possibly could project a rate cut at this point. They said there would be some rate cuts throughout 2024. There would be some rate cuts before the end of the year. What if they have to announce that? I really believe they have to change their tone in some way, or else the bond market is just going to keep raising these rates. This is the bond market really just telling you with this rising in the 10-year yield, it's telling you, hey, you guys got to do something. We noticed PPI, we noticed CPI. This isn't looking good. VIX started to stay a little bit lower. Okay, I thought it was breaking down a little lower. I saw a big red number. VVIX really starting to break down here on the VVIX. Okay, 2-hour divergence up here, able to curl back down. 2-hour divergence can roll over this daily, so we could be seeing an upward move for a few days if some of this stuff starts to prove, but and the VIX isn't even above the 200 yet, guys, so we got to be patient with it. Now, VXN, the volatility of the NASDAQ is a little bit higher up, right? It's a little bit higher up. We see that in the implied volatility. We got bigger ranges for the Qs here. Let's see. Let's actually go back through here. And you'll notice a lot of the time, remember the SPY, we react off of the 20 a lot. With the Qs, we dip below the 20 pretty often, right? We touch the 20, we dip below the 20, we touch the 20. Right now we're dipping below the 20. So we're still not in danger area yet. I would say if SPY started to lose this 20, then I would be a lot more bearish today. So we have to see how today really shapes up. I'm going to go for about another hour. I'm going to give you guys one more hour, and I'll see how I'm feeling. Just a little bit slow today because of, I'm running on a few hours of sleep. That's why I got my robe on today, because I've been up since, I've been up for Almost 6 hours now. Baby girl was a little rough last night. Stocks head lower under lackluster NVIDIA conference. Let's see if that's what the news says. Oh. Weakness in chip stocks leads broad market lower. Damn it. That's so close. SPY is falling. That's pretty funny. Pablo, at what point in S&P do you think a large correction begins? I think once you lose that 20, you have a very good likelihood that that high is holding. Okay, so once you do lose this 20 and we react down to the actual 50 on the SPY, you'll notice we never react down to the 50 on the SPY, right? Throughout this whole run, right? We haven't reacted off of this purple line here. Once you lose the 20, you have the opportunity here, right? We lose the 20, we go to the 50. Say we go to the 50. Now it is much more difficult for this price to come all the way back up to here. It very well could happen, right? We talked about if there was some kind of sell-off and they say there's going to be a cut, well, we could go up till June or something like that, May. And it very well might be May, not June, by the way. But once we lose this, you got to say, hey, we're probably going to come down a little bit further. We're probably going to come down into this area here. Okay, so we come down to that area. Now what happens? Well, we most likely get a bounce. But is that bounce going to be able to just keep going? Really going to depend on probably what Jerome Powell says and what they actually project. I think that's the most important thing. The Fed rate decision this time still might not be, I feel like every time it comes out, it's not that important, but it's the projection and the talk afterwards. Yeah, it has a ton of gaps, which means you can cut through stuff very, very quickly. See, and that's why, like, even though the chat seems bearish, you have to look at the grand scheme of things here. You're still above the 50. You're still above the 20. You have a 30-minute that's really close to positive territory. You're seeing things like AMD, who have some sort of divergence down here, flatness of the RSI, divergence here with the MACD. NVIDIA not breaking through the key level, right? This is the first one, so this has potential to create, right, low, high, lower low, lower high, lower low. It's potential there. We have big news tomorrow. We could see people see like, hey, I'm just getting it down in this area again. This is where buyers step in a lot of the time. So that's why we were drawing this up for you. See if that can go up. So I'm just saying that because of AMD really going to the bottom side. And we're seeing things like Apple is trying to head to its top side again. So the top side was here. This is a great day, great trade. Congratulations if you were in this. I know that I think it was someone like Robert came in and said, hey, it's touching that top side of the expected move. I'm getting out. So there's longer explanations, Luke. First of all, love your name because my name's Luke. But the overall explanation I would like to say right now, as far as how the market looks at this point, this is euphoria due to rate cuts, right? This is euphoria due to rate cuts and the narrative of no recession and the narrative of soft landing. And my problem with the Fed was they are not being honest. They should be honest about the probabilities of recession throughout this, and it would look a lot better. We actually might have seen more than this up here. We actually might have pulled back a little further, and then we could have grown over time. I think they at least should be honest if this is the route they are going to take. There's no way this is not going to be a hard landing. This also can be explained by inflation, right? When inflation is here, we know that the price, the value of things goes up. We're seeing a lot of earnings that are saying, hey, we're making fat margins now. Why is that? It's because inflation is going up. They're raising their prices. We pump a bunch of money into the system. All of those things added together, you get this. This is what you end up with. You end up with a bottom here and you start to go up. So all those things added together end in this. If you want to see lower prices in the stock market, you need a deflationary event, which usually comes with the rate cuts. So I'm saying until they actually do the cuts, this can continue. We can do this, we can do this, this can just keep going forever if they just keep pumping money into the system, keep telling people everything is fine. But we all know that eventually something out of their control happens. Banks fail, that kind of thing. Dude, NVIDIA is bleeding. It is not. It's not bleeding, guys. It's right in between the 20 and the 5-day. Where do we react from? 20. In between the 20 and the 50, react up. In between the 20 and the 50, react up. Ride the 5, react off the 20, ride it up. React off the 5, ride this. Now we're reacting down to the 20 again. This is not crazy at this point. You cannot get overly bearish before a big event tomorrow when certain stocks are telling you different things. Amazon's even looking pretty good, right? We were talking about 15-minute divergence. Amazon looks pretty good to the bull side at this point. 15-minute divergence down here, scooping up a bunch of liquidity in here, could head higher. So sure, we're seeing some stuff sell off today that people really care about, but we're starting to hit points where we could actually see this thing start to move the other direction. Qs, right? You're like, this is the worst day ever. Qs right now making a higher low if we see a reaction here. Now, if we flag out for a while all day and then we see that drop off, that's fine. Then we're probably starting the negative trend. We're not going to go make a new high. But as of right now, we're not breaking below this area. SPY. High or low? Recession is a deflationary event. Exactly. That is what, weirdly enough, if you are someone who is working, knows that your job is secure in the overall market, like you have an important job, say like plumbing, electricity, anything related to those fields, food, things like that, you can say, hey, you know, or if you're just an overall person who wants to see cheaper prices at the grocery store, you have to have a deflationary event. The price of these things do not come down. Alan, I already read your message. It should pop up in a second, then I'll say thank you, but that's hilarious. You're a hidden gem. Why, thank you. Gosh, you're so sweet. Now, remember what I said. I still think SPY has a good opportunity this week to hit 5,200. So just don't get overly bearish. I can be the one bullish guy in this chat. And okay, let's do this. Be very honest. Do you think we are crashing tomorrow? Are we going to continue to crash tomorrow? Yes or no in the chat. Here we go. It's coming. Here it is. Wait for it. Wait. Is this not going to alert? There it is. Alan, and thank you for donating $10 through the super chat. What a donation this morning. You are a hidden gem on YouTube. Gosh, you are so sweet. Gosh, man. Did you wake up and eat cutie pies all morning? Because you are what you eat, and you're a cutie pie. No, okay, that was. Can I delete things from the live video? Is that possible so no one sees it? Because we needed to delete that moment. Not a crash, but a pivot. Yes. Honky says yes. NVIDIA will hold the line. Carlos sounded very, very confident. Appreciate that. Alan's laughing. That's what matters. Thank you for the $10, Alan. Really do appreciate that. What a donation this morning. Look at your name up there. You get a cool little thing at the top of the screen there. I have to agree. With yesterday's NVIDIA event, AMD buyers may have realized it's no match with NVIDIA chips. And that's very well could be the case. Very well could be the case. Nothing to do with, nothing bad to say about AMD here. I don't know enough about it, but let's just be real here. NVIDIA's the big dog. NVIDIA's starting to base out, seeing some green as of right now. Ivan, he's just like, no. Totally, I could agree with you, Carlos. I think NVIDIA is just miles ahead, and I don't know if anything's going to be able to catch up. But that doesn't mean that people can't, you know, think AMD is valuable as well, right? We could come up into this area up here. This would make a lot of sense around 200. We see that reaction up, get some reaction down, see that keep going back up. So really want to see AMD has a higher likelihood of just creating a lower high at this point. Yeah, so it seems a little bit more towards the no side, but Alan said the smartest thing. Alan said the smartest thing in there. I missed it for a sec, but he said the smartest thing. Depends on the Fed. And that's the saddest part about trading in this market right now. Everything you do depends on data because the Fed depends on data, which means we depend on the Fed. So whatever the Fed says tomorrow will dictate which way this market is going to go. And now it's just how does that play out? If they announce the cut and when they are going to cut, do we see a positive reaction? That's a lot of the time that's what happens. And then afterwards, we see the negative reaction later. Kind of a buy the rumors, sell the news. Or buy the news, sell the fact. Is that what it is? Buy the news, sell the fact. So they give you the news like, hey, there's rate cuts. You're like, yay, buy. Okay, now the rate cuts are happening. Sell. AMD day trade calls. I mean, day trade calls here, I don't know about that. This can keep selling off. It's in some serious negative trend. But this is where I'm looking for that bounce. I really think that AMD has a good chance to bounce here. But it's very, very weak. This is much weaker than NVIDIA at this point. NVIDIA seeing a bounce. You see it's pretty sturdy. Right here, we've gone up 12 points just in the last 13 minutes. So this can start to buy back up. Want to be a little bit careful, but if this starts to curl back up into positive territory, I think it's a good shot. We're heading higher here. They can't talk cuts with recent inflation data. The only reason I'm talking cuts is because the bond market has pushed those yields higher. Okay, so the yields are higher now, which kind of forces them to do something. If they do nothing again and just allow the craziness continue, eventually the market will wake up. Eventually they will wake up and maybe we actually sell that off. Eventually people will get sick of not hearing when the rate cuts will be, and so they might sell that thing off. Now, that's similar to kind of like NVIDIA. Everyone keeps expecting a split. You notice they didn't get the split. Eventually, they can sell it off. But was yesterday enough good news for that sell-off? Well, maybe the next time they talk, if they don't get that split, they're just like, yeah, I'm done. Oil hit 90. I don't think they increase, Richard. I really don't. I think that most likely at these levels, banks might already be failing and we don't know. So that's one way to look at it. If you do get rate cuts, that most likely they know something in the system is failing or they are very scared because it is about to fail. Banking crisis, something like that. So just be aware, they could still announce it. But most likely they keep the same tone. We are going to cut some by the end of the year. Maybe they even come out and they say, we're actually going to give 5 rate cuts. Imagine they came out and said, we're going to give 5 rate cuts by the end of the year. Well, one, that would be positive maybe in a lot of traders' minds initially, but we know that if they're cutting that much, something is not healthy. Recovery on NYCB. I bet on recovery of NYCB. Yeah, that's I stay away from when the crazy moves happen, which is funny because this is not that crazy of a move. We've seen this plenty of times. Now AMD, this one's a little crazier, right? This one's a little bit crazier, but this structure here is what you like to see before the 2-hour curls up, so there is potential for some kind of bounce here, but this could just like do this, come down again, and then see that rip so that you're kind of screwed by the end of the week. Does like to do that. You see the 2-hour kind of like right next to the MACD crossing here. A little bit of a divergence at this level. One thing I would say is you're at the 50, so you're most likely going to see some buying back in. The 50 lines up with a good amount of liquidity, right? So boom right here. Do we get some kind of bounce here? Is that a dead cat? Do we just boom and then come right back down? Very well could happen. Not a good sign, but you could come reconnect with these moving averages before you want to head lower. I would most likely say this is going to do something like that. That's what seems like the most probable thing at this point. As long as it keeps the 50, that seems like a very good probability there. Keep the NVIDIA until next earnings, otherwise we should know. Paper, gotta keep. Scares me. True. But just know that they could make the same mistake, bail out the banks, get us more in debt, and we could just see the craziness continue after a correction. Dear God, that would be annoying, but just know that I think it's like each American citizen owes, based on their debt, $110,000 per person. That's crazy. Meta still holding some ground here, maybe able to turn back up. Meta able to turn back up, possibly. If there's another move left in Meta here, we'll have to see if I want to do anything with Meta, but looking a little sketch right now. I've been just waiting for this 2 hour to really go into positive territory before I make any kind of decision here. I might even just stay out of it for this week just because it's kind of sketch. Quite of sketch, just a bit. Oh, it's just a wee bit sketchy. Are you an artist? Because you're a wee bit sketchy. This is good. This kind of would solidify this as the wedge at this point. If you touch on these 3 points pretty much, and then you start to head higher, that would give me a little more confidence behind that. See an Amazon start to tick up. Let's see if that can go positive. Start to curl around this hourly, right? If this hourly can curl up on Amazon, very, very good sign for Amazon moving forward. NVIDIA's sitting there like, hold! New all-time high on April and maybe after June. My prediction for today is that SPX will fill the gap and go down. VIX is going to start rejecting today's lows and move up or neutral. So we do want to keep our eye on the VIX. This thing has been moving down a little bit. Seeing that tick down. See if the 2 hour is able to cross over. Was able to cross. If this goes negative, some big positivity can come in. I would tell you this, like the VIX is actually crashing down pretty good here. Want to see if that holds up maybe around this level. So we still could see volatility come back in. We could go fill that gap and then see volatility come back in. It's just this is your sign of like, hey, it might head to lower levels first. See if that goes negative. That would mean a lot more for the VIX. But you see the SPY, like everyone bearish, everyone bearish, everyone bearish. SPY? Oh, I'm going up. I don't think this fills the gap. I think this tests this high. I don't think it fills the gap, turns around, unless we see that VIX base out like you're talking about. But Qs might have a little bit more trouble here, which makes sense. They're going to be a little bit weighted down by things like, you know, a lot of these tech stocks starting to sell off, so they could, you know, hold a little bit lower. Netflix might turn up into positive territory. Let's look over at Google. Still not too many moves on Google, just a little bit down. Now this here is Microsoft actually rejecting down here and trying to come back up. We'll see what comes from that. But AMD, something that's probably on a lot of people's mind. You approved my accent as a Brit. Well, I played a lot of, I was a semi-pro soccer player. I almost played for the New York Red Bulls. But I dislocated my shoulder and it was out for 4 hours, so my career was over. But I had a bunch of English teammates. I played with people from Liverpool. I played with people that were Scousers. You know, all that kind of stuff. Wait, Scousers are Liverpool, aren't they? Yeah, something like that. Hard to understand some of them. Aw, Alan's super chat went away. I'm sad. Still, thank you for the $10. You're awesome. Thoughts on Meta? Curling up. Could curl up into positive territory. That's really what I would pay attention to here. 2-hour curled up. I'm really just seeing if this goes positive right now. You're just seeing that wicking up, so it's a good sign there's some positivity beneath it, but you really need a confirmation of a new high, break this high, go positive. NVIDIA right at the center line. So if you're getting overly bearish, the 2-hour is saying, hey, this is a 50-50 flip right here, right before a big event tomorrow. My thought on NVIDIA, I actually think we're going to see this hit at that. I think we're going to see another euphoric moment before this actually comes crashing down. Right now, everyone's screaming crash, but we're not. So that gives people the amount of time to react and sell their positions as a retail trader. But we're now seeing it hold up. I think when NVIDIA crashes, it'll be kind of like maybe like SMCI, where you don't necessarily have a lot of time to react, right? We just gap down, we pull back dramatically, we gap down. Like that's more what I would see. Just a straight up, what is this? From this point right here down to here, 25% loss in probably just a couple of days here. So this is more what I'd see, right? In like a week, it loses 20%, 25%. That's more how I would see a NVIDIA rug pull. Doesn't have to play out that way, though. I'm not saying it has to. I'm just saying, hey, I'm going to be your unbiased guy here and just say, yes, it doesn't look good if we break through this level, start to close below the space. Looks very bad. I would just see if we're going to lose that 20-day moving average. Okay. Now the bullish side here, if this 2-hour just curls up and you break through the top here, break through some resistances, you can see another upward move. NVIDIA, usually you like to gap past certain important levels. So if this is going to like see what I think is going to happen, I think we get something like this where we get the left, we get the head, we get the right shoulder. And I think we come up to this area, we sell off dramatically, and then around here we get some kind of bounce. And I think right here is where we get some kind of gap, and we gap below this level. And then that might take us, all the way down to something like this, something right in here, this 736 level. That's what I would think. Usually on the dead cat bounce, you can see a gap down, and that's usually kind of like worst case scenario. No, the reason Nvidia's down today, if you watched us live, do you guys want to know the hidden reason? Give me some yeses in the chat if you want to know the exact hidden reason that Nvidia's down today. We saw it live. We saw it live last night. Everyone knows it. Whoever was here last night for that live, you know it. If you know it, you can put it in the chat. Reviews got it. All right, you guys want to know why? Cats. They showed a cat on the screen. NVIDIA lost 2% in the post market. All they did was showed a cat, and everyone was like, "Sell." They were like, "This can make pictures of cats," and they put a cat on the screen. The second that cat was on the screen, it sold off by 2%. So what did we say live? We said, man, if they showed a dog, though, NVIDIA to 1,000. They showed a dog, NVIDIA goes to 1,000. 100%. He's like taking notes after he sees the stock price today. He's just like, okay, change cat to dog. Don't pause as much for laughter. Fire guy who didn't clap. Yeah, it didn't look good from a tech company, in my opinion. Like, we were just typing cringe the whole time. You guys could watch me cringe, but we checked Tesla. Yeah, one sec. One of the little robots refused to come to him when he called him over. I thought that looked really bad. Ah, damn. Yeah, that does look pretty bad. Note to self, jokes are amazing. He should have generated an image of a green bull. Damn, that would have been it. He should have been like, AI, what will NVIDIA due in the next 6 months. He's like, it will hit $1,000 and we will get a stock split. Boom. Just skyrocket. All right, little AR-15, you know we're going to go look at Tesla for you real quick. Seeing that wick up, that's a good sign. So now that you're in a positive trend, if you're, day side, now just be careful that weekly expected move right up in this area. That's where the resistance came in. That's where the resistance came in. So if you do want to see really big bullishness out of Tesla, kind of confirm that daily, if it's wanting to cross on that MACD, kind of confirm that divergence, you actually want to blow past this level, right? We want to blow past this level. So maybe we even gap up, something like that. But you really want to get past this because that's your weekly expected move somewhere up in that area. Tenzin? Are you tens? Yeah, that last part was so unnecessary. I should have stopped the moment after the chip presentation. I think what he was like when they showed the video about how it can be implemented for businesses, I thought that was very cool. Like, oh, like Amazon can use this and then AI. But the funny part about it is if I look at that video back, I kind of watched it back and I saw like how the innovation adds AI. You don't see one human being in the whole thing. It's like no human beings in the whole thing, which just means, oh, AI is going to take over everything. Like AI is going to do your job for you. AI is going to do this. AI is going to do that. AI is going to work in the warehouse. AI is going to do the computation for analytics for marketing. AI is going to do your AI is going to do your taxes. AI is going to do your accounting. Yeah, Tesla flow is bearish. Now that's what I'm overall stating here. It's like if you want it to go higher, you need to break above this level for sure. But this could, break down and then we see it come back up by end of week like this, get some kind of retest. So I just say like 15-minute, yeah, it's not the best. You really want to see if this daily crosses over, right? If we see positivity and this daily is able to cross over, you got divergence here. Tesla could be a great, great trade down here. I already took the trade and then I got out of it, but I just took a little trade down in here, saw that pop, took my money, ran with it. Oh my gosh, what if NVIDIA came out with chips? No, not like chips, like chips that you can eat. Holy sh! I wouldn't trust them. They're probably microchipping us too. There's microchips in our chip. Eat our chip and then you can see Facebook in your eye. See, I'm going to have to do my bad habit. Ooh, we're coming down even lower for AMD. Not able to get that strength at this moment. We'll have to see if it wants to bounce up from this area. We still have a little bit of time left in the rest of the day, right? But not looking good. Let's see how that's affecting NVIDIA. NVIDIA's still holding a little bit higher, so that's not a bad thing. But Palo Alto, head and shoulders right here. Left head, right shoulder form, breakthrough, retest. This doesn't look very good for Palo Alto. You really want to hold up at this level. SMCI, let's go visit our friend over here. These are the levels we're paying attention to, right? The high up here towards that 1,227.84, and then the lower side here that I'm paying attention to, kind of a last line in the sand. I think this gap, right? This gap here was what I was gonna say I would target, right? These are just so expensive. Everyone's trading this. These are so expensive, and it's so volatile. So if we're gonna turn around from here, you need to retake that 909.82. Whatever happened to quantum computing, that's going to be replaced with a CDC inside of a CDC. I mean, wait, sorry, that was the housing crisis. What did he say? Oh, a GPU within a GPU. So you have a bunch of little GPUs that are powering the bigger GPUs that all work and communicate together and learn from each other so they can take over the world and end humanity. I mean, no, that's not what he said either. But it's a GPU within small GPUs within a bigger GPU, which definitely takes up less energy. Apparently, he's saying it's more efficient energy-wise. If he can prove it, that's cool. But as far as him just saying it on a stage and showing us some pictures, I'm like, Can you like implement it into a business for the next year and then tell us how it is after that? See if it was less expensive? I don't. Ah, yes, a simulated GPU. Yeah, that was it too. Like we were halfway through, and I was like, "Jokes on you guys! This whole meeting was a simulation. Like he's not even there." Now that's where I think it was. Shoot, what's your name? What's the name? What's the name? What's the name? You always have good stuff, Richard. That's where Richard was like, "Yeah." And I said, until he was like, "Yeah, he's gonna need electricity soon. They're gonna use your body." Yeah, exactly. Your body produces electricity, and then the problem with someone going this far with AI is eventually someone will abuse it, right? So he said, like, what was the line that really freaked me out? Um, he said, it like we use AI and it allows us to get you whatever you want, right? It allows you to show what you want, AI, and then it allows them to get you whatever you want. But it also allows them to control everything and take whatever they want away. So let's just, I mean, if everything's run by electricity, who's running the electricity switch, right? That's why oil's kind of a good thing, is because you go buy oil, you have it, nobody can fudge with it in your car, right? But if everything's connected via electricity, all they have to do is send a signal to your car, and your car's not going anywhere. All they have to do is send a signal to your phone, and your phone can't buy the certain grocery that you like. They're like, you hit your quota on milk for the day, and we are being environmentally friendly, so you don't get any milk. And it's like, well, I have 3 kids, like blah blah blah. So that's what I would say. It's kind of a conspiracy type thing, right? But that genuinely is what happens once you allow them the control to get into everything. It's kind of scary. And yeah, the stock split, I think, is, I don't think they want to do biocomputing, by the way. Do you know how much money the healthcare system makes right now? Just overcharging people because of insurance and all that. And now we're going to add biocomputing. Do you know how expensive that would be? Yeah, and they didn't announce a stock split, and I think that's why you're seeing a little bit of a sell-off. I think some retail people, right, we were talking about how they can't understand all these computer terms, all these tech terms, but they can understand stock split. So I think that's mainly what they were looking for, just a stock split narrative, right? And we just didn't get that. Flatness on the MACD, flatness on the RSI, potential for a bounce. Just know the flatness means it might not last, but you do have momentum slowing here. I'm gonna go for about 30 more minutes, and then your boy might need to go get some sleep. But 30 more minutes, and we'll give like a little bit of a breakdown of every stock real quick, and then we'll hop off. So let me know. I really want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think now that we're going to get a bounce? Do you think it's just going to keep going? Well, so here's the funny part too. Like, retail trades in the morning, right? Retail trades in the morning. So if we look at the Qs, well, if retail's getting out of a bunch of positions, and then we know that towards the end of the day is when the, say, smart traders come back in, well, this might be not able to break through a key level so that those algorithms can't really kick in. Maybe they pull this the other way. They see something good coming as of tomorrow. Maybe our next trap is something like this come late Wednesday. AMD is taking a huge beating. You got that right. It's a massive flag here too, guys. Like, this is flagging at this point. Sure, you got some reactions out of it, right? But you can see consolidating. And here's the thing. When I draw it like this, all you see is price getting a little bit tighter, right? This is a big move, medium move, smaller move, very small move, breakout. Possible. It's definitely possible here. And I mean, we're just patient, right? We see this 2 hour go positive, we're happy. So 2 hour go positive, everyone's positive at that point. Boom, you can see this thing go higher. SPY, even better case for this to roll over, as it's SPY positive. It's like right next to positive tears. So if you just get this to curl up for a couple of days here, you could head all the way up towards 5,200. Apple kind of mooning up 1% here, able to get into positive territory. That's really what we were talking about. And on the 30-minute here, seeing if that curls up, I would even go into a 15. This would be a nice, look at that. Remember this, you guys, we've seen this MACD behavior so many times. This slow downward curvature, and then it gets to the center line, crosses to the upside on the MACD, and then we see that positivity come back in. So wait for this to confirm. Once that does confirm for a full green bar here, we can see some more positivity come in. This is where we have to be a little bit cautious. If you're part of the Patreon, you know why we have to be a little bit cautious. That weekly expected move heading towards, right up towards that area there. I wonder if we can see anything on a shorter time frame for AMD. This thing is just not wanting to do anything. That dipped really low, so even on the 5-minute, this is going to be hard. Even on the 5-minute, this is going to be very difficult to get to positive territory. Yeah, you see that. NVIDIA, though, on the 5-minute, you see a similar thing. So we could get another reaction down, right? We could get another reaction down like this to then head higher on this 5-minute. But the 30-minute, really what I'm paying attention to, see if that just wants to curl up positive territory. We're not breaking through key levels. This is the key level we keep mentioning, right? Somewhere around 840. It's not breaking it. So I'm not going to be overly bearish. I'm going to try, what I'm trying to do by talking this way is keep my own emotions in check, by the way. That's kind of what I'm doing while I'm looking at the market. I'm trying to be like, talk out loud and just be like, yeah, this isn't that bad, really. NVIDIA's not selling off. We know NVIDIA has to crash in order for the market to really crash, so haven't broke this base. AMD very well could drop more as far as this week goes if it starts to get outside of that weekly expected move. Right now, you're reacting almost off the top side, right? You're getting very, very close to it. I don't know when that earnings is. When is that earnings? I actually think earnings could be a wake-up call because we know that a lot of companies are struggling. We know that Apple's probably not going to produce the best earnings, but this means that April, we could just see more positive action in April. So that'll be interesting. All right, I have like a little zip or something. But yeah, this one, even this one here, yeah, okay, this one here, you can be like, all right, I could be pretty bearish on this one, right? I could be a little bit more bearish. The only thing is, do I get a reaction from the 50? We haven't seen a pullback down to the 50 since, well, even here you didn't reach the 50. Here you didn't, you've never seen a pullback to the 50. The closest you got was this one here, and that ended up playing out with boom to the upside. So you do have potential to roll over here for a few days. We'll have to see, though. This doesn't look very good. Seeing that positivity come in, NVIDIA not seeing the most positivity at this moment, Apple's starting to fade. So this is what happens when you come outside of those zones, right? We talked about this. You know, we like to do this on Apple. We break through a zone, we gap below it, we retest it, we drop lower. Well, we can come back later on, retest it, and drop lower. So this is possible. Probably pull up this 2-hour. If that rolls over in negative territory, it might be game over for Apple. So you don't want to see this guy fall. Like, look at this price action over here. You really think this is going to hold it up? Most likely you're heading towards, what, 145? Somewhere in this area. This we can cut through a little bit quicker. Head and shoulders on SMH. Cha-cha-cha. Let's go. Ooh, breaking down pretty good on SMH. Able to go into negative territory on the 2-hour. Good sign there. Now we do have potential for like a lower high or something like that to come up. I just want to look at a 30-minute here. 30-minute, you do have that divergence on the MACD, but not on the RSI at the same time. You have that one single divergence, not even on the RSI over here, but you have a triple down here if you're able to curl back up. So there is potential to move higher here. We're seeing this kind of get tight in this, right? Big move, smaller moves, smaller moves. Now we have a decent size move. So we have to see. Really, I think the big move is coming, but look at that head and shoulders. Looks nice. This does look very, very good, right? Dang. Little reaction here, but then we break down. Maybe we just retest and keep going. Very, very possible. Look at this on the daily scale, though. See where we're sitting. So if we can get back above this 20, I'll be pretty confident overall in the semiconductor market here. If we're not able to get above this 20, you have a good potential to drop lower. You have a good potential to head towards this gap down here, 196. So careful is the name of the game right now. If NVIDIA wants to turn back up, let's just watch this for a few minutes here while I chat with you guys. Death cross on Apple. Y'all. Mr. Rosales, what's up? Good morning. NVIDIA's a buy tomorrow after the overreaction from Jay Powell, in my honest opinion. I want to see a move higher, but I am open to the downside. Not really I want to, it's just then I'd be right for NVIDIA, but I'm not trading NVIDIA right now, but you still think it's going to hit 1,000. I think you're so close to 1,000, you almost reached it, that people would be like, oh, this is the sell-off, and then it just goes to 1,000. They're like, oh, I missed out on that move. They buy in at 1,000, and then the big boys start to sell. If you were to make a trade right now, what or where would you be looking? I would be, if I was to tell me my mentality. Do I have to trade options? Can I just buy stock? And how long would you like me to hold it for some kind of reaction? So you got to tell me what kind of trader I am, because there's a million different ways to trade at this point. Because I can tell you my serious trade, if I was an investor, was down here. I already told you guys this is what I hold right now. TLT at 82.50. We talked about this back in October. This is really where I bought, right at 82.50. We had that marked off like way back here, and I just said 82.50 is going to be important. Boom, boom, boom. We see that divergence come in. Boom! Look at that upside. I'm in this move. I'm just holding it. I'm thinking about adding more to it right at this level. The robe trader. Yeah, sorry, I got like no sleep. If I got options, what was it? It's not Apple. Let me look at some of these. I mean, honestly, a trade maybe worth is some kind of quick reaction out of AMD, just a get in, get out type one. But I think it's this here. Oh, GT Cuts, thank you for donating. $9.99 through the super chat. Hell yeah. Alan gave one earlier. GT Cuts right now. Thank you so much. Get some claps. Get some claps in the chat for GT. Let me look through some and I'll kind of see. I'll try to look at the ones that we really cover. I mean, as far as the SPY goes, if I just see this thing curl up in positive territory, it's like I have targets, right? I have the weekly, I have the monthly, so I have easy targets. I'm in a bullish trend still, haven't really made a significant new low. So I would just say if this curls up, I could just be like, okay, let me take a try here, hold that for a couple of days, see that go up. That's possible, but you need this to curl up. I need to see positivity. I don't really like to see things like AMD and NVIDIA not going to higher levels, Tesla breaking down a little bit, things like that. Don't necessarily like to see that at this point. Something I would also look into would be in the near future, looking at this 15-minute. This is the one for Apple, seeing if I create some kind of divergence before a big event, right? This would be one I'd pay attention to if I see a big reaction up. I would look for that divergence here, right? I would look for that divergence up here on the MACD and RSI, and if they're at the same time, I'd say, okay, let me take a little short on this for a week or two. And then I would just say, once I make enough money off of it, whatever I'm trying to make off of it, then I know this hourly can curl over. If that goes negative, we have a good chance that this is going to take out this low, at least test it. So I might say, hey, if I take a trade up here, I'm going to target this low. Okay, this comes down like this. If I make enough money, if it happens quickly, I'll be out of the trade. I'll be good to go. If that makes a lower or higher low, I'm going to be already out of the trade. But if this quickly moves down like this and breaks this low, now I can say, okay, I sell at this point. I look for a new trade after that because I made plenty of money. That's what I would say. If I was an investor, whatever stock I was buying for upside, I would look, is that a tech stock? I would go over to SQQQ and I would hold SQQQ for probably a month while I watch that play out, just to kind of hedge there. And then I would say, okay, if this starts to roll the other way, I start to see confirmations of downside, I can add more to SQQQ. That's kind of how I'd look at it. Wrecked. Did you get wrecked today, GT? GT, did you get wrecked today? But as of right now, guys, I don't see a ton of great setups. I really don't. Really, I just want to see, are these going to curl up into positive tears? I really don't. I know IWM has a good setup here. Like, look at this. You have 30-minute divergence at the same time. I mean, flatness on the RSI, but you have a solid divergence down here on the MACD, which can curl up this 2 hour, get into positive territory. We could go set up some kind of lower high, maybe test like 203, right, for some kind of reaction. But you do have potential for some strength moving forward. Okay, so this is something very good to look at right now. Who felt entertained when they hope to see a certain stock fall? I'm never going to sit here and like hope that certain stocks go up or down. Like, obviously I want them to for my trades, but for you guys, I don't want to make anyone feel bad. It's like, if I really want the Qs to go up and someone short the Qs, I don't want to make you feel bad. Like, I'll just be like, cool. UNH. Is that? Oh, United Health. Okay. At least I know this one. I mean, I don't know too much about it. One thing about it, just from a technical standpoint right away, you're below that 200. You have the 50 crossing the 200. This is a very bad sign. So if you get that reaction up, when the 50 crosses the 200, now you have those resistances at the same time in this area. So if you do get that reaction up, watch for that to fade. So something that I like to look for when I am seeing bounces below the 200 is some kind of 30-minute divergence to upside. Okay, so 30-minute divergence to upside here is what I'd pay attention to. See if when that 30 minutes shows its face, right? Because right now, watch this. So when you do see bounces below the 200, 30-minute divergence is actually pretty good to take a quick short. So right here, 30-minute divergence, boom, we see 30-minute divergence here. Flatness on the RSI. So since it's flat and the MACD is down, I only have one that's really showing me a downward move. So I can treat this as a pullback. What happens? I take my trade at that red bar up here. Boom, 493.85. I take it. It comes down to 485 very quickly. This, if you take it the right way, this will double your options position in like a day. You can say, oh, I doubled money. Don't get over, greedy. Right, that's what I did with Tesla yesterday. I still took profit when I hit the amount of money I wanted to make. And Robert, thank you so much for donating through the super chat. Hopefully, I'm assuming that's so I would look at UNH, right? Really appreciate the donation. It makes me really want to look at the stock more. So now what could happen here? We see some consolidation, right? We're starting to see a breakout. So you want to make sure to take profit when you see that move pretty quick, because your 2 hour wasn't able to fully cross over, right? It wasn't able to cross over with this big move down. It crossed over here, but it's not negative or anything like that. You don't have divergence at this level or anything like that. So what I would really look for, maybe this one looks pretty good on the hourly. Look for this, right? We have some structure in here. Get the cup. I mean, the cup's kind of low here, so this move might not be too great. Look for maybe a divergence up here. So I'd just be paying attention to, on the daily side, what the reaction is if you get a big one up to this area. But as of right now, like you can see, there's structure here. We're moving sideways. We can make a move higher. Just be very careful with this happening right here. Very, very worrisome. And on the MACD, you just don't have divergences down here that can convince me like, oh, the momentum to the downside is dying out. Nope, this is just saying this could be some kind of bounce. And if that bounces for a few days, rolls back down, you'll see that cross maybe near positive territory. Then in the future, you can then see maybe some kind of divergence set up for yourself. So it's about being patient. It's about kind of marking things, even writing your ideas down. Be like, I need to look at I need to look at United Health Group over the next couple of weeks to see if it's forming anything to a lower point. And the cool part about the 200 is a lot of people just short beneath the 200 once they see that crossing on the MACD, and it kind of works sometimes. So anything that's below, it can come up to here. You see that come up, cross down. They just short it for a few days to see if there's some negativity there. I've seen people do that, but not necessarily how I do things. I like to swing trade on the way up, not necessarily the way down. NVIDIA monthly put spread. I mean, I think NVIDIA, as far as a monthly scale goes, over the next 6 months, I think it's down, right? I think that this has to stop at some point, and you will at least see that reconnection with the 5-month, with the 20-month. And I really think the 20-month is adding up. I think we rode this 5 for so long that we're going to see some kind of big plunge down. But that could take like 6 months to happen. It really could. We could see another move up, move down, move up, and then see that come back down. So I'm not too convinced that this will get touched in the next month. But I would say that the 5 is very likely to be touched in the next 2 months. AMD, this is an ugly bar, but you'll notice what's below it, the 5. So if AMD is doing this, why can't NVIDIA? AMD could come into here and then see that buy right back up. Thank you guys so much for the donations. Robert, GT, Alan, you guys are awesome, awesome, awesome. And I appreciate you guys showing up every day, liking the video, you know, asking questions, everything like that makes it entertaining for me as well. Everything's so boring, just crash already. True, Sophia. And Robert, I want to say this. Thank you for asking very, very nicely to look at the stock as well. Not only did you give $10, but you also asked very nicely. I noticed some people who might not even be subscribed just come into the live channel and then just say, like, look at this. And it's like, you know, I'm a person. Yeah, you know, I'm a dude. I'm spending my time. I've got maybe 3 hours of sleep under my belt. So I really appreciate it when you guys are very, very nice. It makes the day a lot better for me. So I appreciate you guys. Now, one thing here we're noticing, okay, we're not able to see any kind of guys, where's my MACD? All right, my MACD disappeared. All right, let's do the last run through. I'm sorry, we might have to do it without a MACD. I don't know where it went. Let me see if I can fix it. I don't want to like mess up my charts or anything, so I'm going to do it on the side. Oh, there it is. It's literally here. Let me reload this. Boom. Okay. I was like, I don't want to like add the MACD again and then I have to like delete one later or something like this. Got it. And also I have to change my card on my, my card just expired and I need to change my membership thing for my subscription for TradingView here. All right, so the SPY, we're still paying attention to a lot. You'll notice we're able to get into negative territory, but what's happening? We're stalling, okay? So this is a sign that we could head lower. Don't think it can't. Bottom side of the expected move. But this is not dramatic selling, guys. I know that some of the stocks you guys are trading are dramatic, but you got to look at the overall market. If it was going to crash like the Qs and the SPY here, really want to head down to lower levels. I would see if this 2 hour is able to curl up. It's still positive at this point. We have all the moving averages here. If you start to retake that, cross on this MACD, we could see positivity. Got to be a little careful. We get that rock in the stream tomorrow with Jerome Powell, so we have to see, is this going to create some kind of 2 hour divergence if we see an upward move? Or are we going to make a downward move and we see a positive reaction? Something like that could happen, and we very well could just keep going. But just on the daily scale, guys, the SPY does not look that bad. It really doesn't. I mean, oh shit, I just moved that. That's okay. You guys already have those levels. But it looks bad from a momentum perspective, but you haven't lost the 20. You are still right next to the 5. You can easily take this back by end of day, and everyone's faked out by this big move down. The Qs, little different story. We could get a bigger reaction down, but if they're able to reconnect, get both of these moving averages back, that would be a very positive sign. Now, if this 5 crosses below that 20, most likely we are going to head towards that 50-day moving average pretty quick. Okay, so the 50-day moving average is right below us. We see on the 30-minute, though, able to curl up in this area, not that bad. But as of right now, you got some flagging going on, right? We saw that selling in the morning. You could just flag out for a little bit going on into today, and then see another reaction down, maybe even towards end of day today, and we just see that reaction down, and then we see some kind of divergence down here is what I'm really thinking might happen. Yeah, divergence with this low would make a lot of sense. We stay within this this flag. We're still within a flag at this point. So if you're a little bit like, I don't want to see for divergences, well, look at the 2 hour. If this just curls up, goes into positive territory, most likely we're going to see another move higher. How high could that move go? Well, your weekly expected move is right up there. So I would really pay attention to that. If we get outside of that by, say, like Friday, that could be ripped away with some people taking profit. Apple started to head higher. This 2 hour was able to get into positive territory. We were overall stating for a long time, if this 2 hour rolls down, get some red impressions here, we could see that go lower, right? Break through this area, make a new low for sure. Could have happened here. It didn't. It didn't. We were patiently waiting 30-minute. We patiently waited for it to cleanly break through this range. It gaps above it, so it doesn't really give you the opportunity. And guess what? It goes and hits that weekly expected move. So please do go over and join the Patreon if you're interested in expected moves for some of these stocks, like NVIDIA. It might come in great handy for NVIDIA if we go into a bear market. NVIDIA, if it's already seeing big swings in a bear market, you can see big swings. And if you can catch when the momentum's dying out, very, very useful to have those weekly expected moves in a bear market. Now, what is Apple doing right now? Well, doing what it did over here, right? We gap below something, we retest a very important area, then we drop lower. What's happening as of now? Well, we built this all up. Now we're retesting into that zone a little deeper, and we're seeing that resistance come in. You see it with these little wicks right here. Resistance is in this area. So what I would pay attention to going on into tomorrow, if we see positivity, pay attention to those weekly expected moves. We could see a little trade setup there, and I will post that to Patreon if that comes out. Tesla, we were saying, hey, yeah, this thing can drop off, but most likely you want to wait till it goes negative because this could be retesting something. So it's retesting this area here. Now this could be cup, handle, and head lower and get a deeper retest. So if we do start to see, like, I think it's a 2 hour rollback over or something like that, most likely while this thing goes negative, it's going to be very brief if it comes down to this area. So 154.78, what I really want to pay attention to. Let's look at a daily side. You're taking back the 5, you can react upward. You just want to see if you get rejected by the 20. All right, so since we have broken down, really we rode the 5 for a very long time down. Then we came outside of it pretty good, react to the 5. Came outside, react to the 5. We build up to the 20, and then we kind of fade out. We build up to the in between the 20 and the 50, we fade out. So somewhere in this area up in here could be problematic for Tesla if we do see that positivity come in. Amazon, one thing is it's bouncing off its 20, right? This thing's consolidating. It actually looks pretty good in the shorter time frames. What I'm wondering is if this curls up, can it get a really strong move for a couple days here, for a few days, get some kind of divergence here on the MACD on the daily scale? That would be massive. 30-minute, kind of just trailing up on this 30-minute. One that we were looking at was the 15-minute to find a position to get into maybe. Seeing this, remember before the market even opened, actually yesterday before it even closed, I was saying, yeah, I could see some kind of double bottom being down here. Okay, well, now we have a 15-minute. We see that divergence getting very close to positive territory. This could roll down one more time, right? This could roll down one more time, but really pay attention to this base to the downside. And then to the upside, we want to see, does this fully complete and go a little bit higher? Because right now you kind of have like 2 cups coming in here, and we could break through this high. If we break through, maybe we get that retest and get a full measured move of this right here. What that would do is probably turn over the hourly. So if you want to be not looking at the shorter time frames, just if this hourly curls up, it could go into positive territory. We could see positivity in Amazon. NVIDIA, something that everyone's paying attention to. Everyone's saying NVIDIA's crashing. This is not crashing. It's not. This is not crashing at this point. You're not breaking through the key level. Sure, you broke through this low. You could make, like, a case for lower high or something like that, or over here lower high, and we're going to break down further. You can make a case for it. Totally agree. But daily scale, where are we? We're above the 20. What do we do in the past? We react off the 20. We react off the 5. We react off the 20, dip down a little bit towards the 50. We react off the 50 and the 20. So for the most part, 20, 20. in the 5-day moving average. So we haven't lost that yet. And that's why I'm just like, yeah, I'm not too convinced that this is the moment. Maybe tomorrow with Jerome Powell can change it, right? Maybe tomorrow with Jerome Powell can make it a little bit different. The market's definitely overstretched, but I'm not going to say it can go lower until I fully see the signals that it can head much lower. SMH not looking good. SMH is not looking good. That in the grand scheme of things isn't looking good. AMD not looking good. And we got this crossover here, so we could go bottom Bollinger or something like that. I'm still back testing to see if that holds as true, but you are heading towards the 50, and we've never done that in AMD. Like, look at this run. If you look throughout this run, it's 20, a little bit towards the 50, but it's not there. 20, 20, 5, 20, 20, 20, 20. Coming close to the 50 here, but still the 20, 20. So the fact that we lost the 20 is a little bit of a big deal. It's a little bit different than how this thing likes to go up. But now you get to see, how does it react off the 50? Well, if you have those weekly ranges, you can pay attention to a 30-minute right now. See if some of these create any divergences for you. You got flatness on the RSI, flatness on the MACD, a little bit down on the MACD as of right now. So you'd have to treat this as some kind of bounce, not necessarily a reversal in this overall, downward trend that we've been in on the shorter time frames here. We could see some kind of bounce from this area. It makes sense. We have the 50 right in that area. We have our weekly range a little bit below us. So good point to look at. Meta looking pretty strong if we can cross on this 30-minute, get above this level here. You see the rejections, right? Rejection here, rejection, rejection, rejection a little bit lower. But this here could be double bottoming, right? We could see a 15-minute here looking at like some kind of divergence down here between these lows. You got it on the RSI as well down there. So you can see a positive move. I'd really just see what price does if it's able to get through 500. Pretty confident that Meta actually will be heading higher, able to curl over this 2-hour into positive territory. Okay, into positive territory, that's the big thing here. It's already curled up, not able to curl back down just yet. See if that goes positive. That would be massive. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. You guys are a little quiet right now, so hopefully you're enjoying this for now. Microsoft 2-hour, I'd probably be more comfortable with like a 1-hour. Do you see how the 1 hour is about to curl up in positive territory? There's probably another big move in Microsoft here. To be honest, this looks pretty strong on the daily side of things. Yeah, this looks pretty strong. Now, the only thing is any strong move you see here can be ripped away very quickly. You got triple divergence up here on the MACD. Just that single divergence, right, on the RSI. And Google, we're seeing that fade back down. This is a big move. I'm going to guess that we have a weekly expected move up towards that area. But what do we like to do when we get outside of Bollinger Bands? I've never done a funded account. I've always worked my own money all the way. So we come outside of the Bollinger Bands. What do we always say it likes to happen when we come well outside of the Bollinger Band? Well, we pull back. We react back down to the 5, or we move sideways till the 5 catches up, right? Until this catches up. So this makes sense to pull back to lower levels first, and then we could see some kind of reaction. We have a ton of moving averages right here. So this is still a positive thing, and we're just now getting into positive territory, which tells me if we get some consolidation up here, react off the 5, we can ride that a little bit higher, maybe set up that point of divergence that we're talking about between these highs. There's some good stuff to pay attention to. Even Netflix here looking like it wants to curl up on the daily in positive territory. I just created the link between these two highs here. So how high could it go? Well, I would see what's happening when we react up to this area, if we do, right? If we do, because that's the big thing there. 2-hour going to curl down. So if you're going to go negative on the 2-hour, then you'd say this is probably going to break and it might be game over for Netflix for a while. You could see a move down to here and then see that bounce back up, give you some structure here, left head, right shoulder. Oh, sorry guys, I was a little bit tired today. Let's look at the VIX too. The 2-hour able to curl over at this point. So this is if this fully is able to keep going negative here, you're going to break this. You might even come down and fill this gap way down here. We might see some bullishness for a few days here. Will that be ripped away by Friday expiration? We'll have to see. These yields are going to be very interesting going into tomorrow. Seeing if the Fed is actually going to react because of this. That would be a first. a first. Because do you ever feel like they keep seeing data, but they just keep not reacting to the data, even though they say they're reacting to the data? I feel like we get bad CPI, they're like, we need to react to data. We get bad PPI, they're like, we need to react to data. It's like, dude, react already. What the last thing, dollar. Just wanted to mention this as well. Not necessarily on a 2 hour. I just want to look at this daily wise. Look at this, getting above the 200, crossing through some kind of flagging here, right? Some kind of flagging in this area. And we could see that cross up. If this goes positive here, it could be bad news. We might be heading towards my 105.65 level. Don't tell me anyone here is long NVIDIA. If someone's long NVIDIA right now, I think they already came into the chat and gave us a little bit of sadness. Now, that being said, it's not like I'd say NVIDIA would be better than AMD at this point. Right? NVIDIA would be better than if you're in AMD at this point, and you're really banking if you're with AMD, you're really praying that this 30 minutes able to roll back up into positive territory. You really are at this point. Now we can see when that bounce is actually going to come. Maybe even the 5 minute we get another reaction down. But AMD, this is painful. SMCI, if you're in that, that's painful. This is painful. Could we get a reaction here? Yes, this is where we could get a reaction around this gap fill. Do I think we go to the high at this point? No. I think if we get a reaction, it might be towards this area, towards like the $1,000 mark, and then we see that lower high come in. Gonna wake up 3 p.m. and get rid of all my AMDs. Bye, guys. You see Tesla dropping today? I look at NVIDIA. I took long at NVIDIA. It is a critical level for NVIDIA as far as Tesla goes. I love that I have a drawing of a bunch of circles up here. That's great. So actually, this could head higher. So if I was trading, say Tesla still, since I already took my profit here, I'd really just look for if this creates a divergence up here. Just be careful. That weekly expected move is here. You can see that strength come in. A lot of the time, if you're going to see this happen, this daily, right? If we're going to see this daily divergence play out, that means that we're going to have to break through some ranges. We're going to have to break through some key levels. We're going to have to break through a lot of things. And so on the 15 minute, what you want to see is, because we know the weekly expected move is up in this area, well, we want to see, does it create divergence and does that lead to a reversal? So if the 15 minute curls back up and gives us that high and we get the dip down, you'd then want to go, okay, is the hourly curling back over into negative territory? So if this goes like this, or if this goes like this and then turns back around, well, this MACD would still just be like this and curl back down into negative territory, which gives you the opportunity, right? It could create some kind of divergence towards that 154.78, or it could violate that and just keep going and say, hey, yeah, I'm in a negative trend and there's no divergences. You should do ASMR, your streams relax me. Hey, that's good. I'm glad it relaxes you in the morning, but hopefully that was helpful. We'll just click on NVIDIA for now just to see what's going on here. Really, if this hourly just turns up positive territory one more time, like with a strong move breaks through this, probably could see higher. I'm still looking at this 2 hour. This is where I'll be confident NVIDIA's heading higher if I see that cross back up. All right, guys, so hopefully you guys enjoyed yourself this morning. Thank you so much for the donations. You guys are fantastic. You guys are awesome. Robert, GT, Alan, thank you guys so much for the donations. I'm sorry. Well, I guess I should look real quick before I leave. I'm going to go look and make sure no one donated on PayPal, okay? Let's see. Okay, good. I just don't like to leave the PayPal people out. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to be that guy. But I just wanted to... Oh, hold on. Let's see. Hey, HC, what up? RDX, I'll take a quick look at. This thing's skyrocketing. You're going to have daily divergence here, probably. Yeah, okay, so look out for the daily divergence coming. This could be topping out right now. This could be the top for this bad boy. That's a big wick up here. If anything, if you want to see this ride higher, I would really wait for this to, consolidate for a little while, let this 5-day catch up, and then you can see a reaction from there. But at this point, if there's anything to hint, I mean, it's parabolic too. It could keep going, but I would just say watch it, be patient, because you could be getting a divergence, and maybe that, takes some time. So you could swing trade this bad boy maybe like on a 2-hour or something like that. You see this pull back down to this level, curl back up. Okay, curl back up into positive territory. That's where I would really be looking at this. Try to take it as simply as possible. But know in the back of your mind, whenever you take calls, you have to know, hey, there is that potential daily divergence up in this level. So we could be seeing something really bad happen soon. If something really bad happens with this divergence, it's probably going to be in the next couple weeks. So we don't know yet. We don't know what the Fed's going to say. Same page. Thank you, Miles. I'm glad you're on the same page. That's awesome. All right, guys. So I hope you guys had fun today. I'm going to leave NVIDIA up just for a moment here, see if we get any curl back up. But I just wanted to say thank you so much for tuning into the stream. If you want to learn more about this stuff, I know a lot of you guys are taking the course. I really appreciate that and getting some feedback. That's awesome. If you need those weekly ranges for NVIDIA or anything, it's going to be very, very useful in a bear market. And I believe we're heading towards a bear market. Shoot, it could start tomorrow, folks. It could have already begun. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll see you later on YouTube with our afternoon video. And I just hope you guys have all the luck in the world trading today. Hope you have a good day. See you on YouTube later.